Hi, I'm Joanna, and I am so excited to welcome you, the glam pad, to Foxglove Meadow. I'm currently decorating our house for the holidays, and I am taking inspiration from the interior design and from the garden and blending it together for a very whimsical, green and twinkly holiday vibe. I love a crazy Christmas tree, and my children always feel like it should be a little bit more perfect and a little bit more themed. But I love the crazy mix of the ornaments that we have, the ones that we've collected over the years, the ones that my mother and my grandmother have passed down to me, and then obviously the pieces from my collection. And I think it's the crazy mix that is what is appealing to me. So, for example, we have a lobster here, which was something I bought in Hong Kong when I was growing up, next to, this is one of my ornaments. This is our stripy bee, which is a signature ornament of ours. And then I love the glass balls. I love the crazy birds. Oops. I have some vintage pieces on here as well, which I think are so pretty. And I love the color of the vintage pieces because they work in this room. And my children always laugh at me because I'm like, there's no red on the tree. And then they say to me, but Mum, red is Christmas. And I, for this year, the first year, have allowed a tiny bit of red into this room and a tiny bit of red onto the tree. And I quite like it. But I'm going to point out just a few of the decorations that are from my collection and just show you how they work in with everything else. So snowflakes are a big part of what we do, and we'll do a close-up of that in a minute. But I love how they catch the light. This one is particularly faceted and particularly sparkly. So that one is one of my favorites. We also do a glass ball collection. These balls are hand-blown in the Czech Republic, and then they're hand painted, and they really are works of art. And I have a couple of these. I have the painted one, and then I have one of the solid ones on the tree as well. And actually, while we're talking about glass, that tree topper is one of ours as well. He's gone a bit wonky, but it's an ombre glass, hand-painted ombre tree topper, which is super fun. And then we've also got underneath the tree, which you can't really see, we have our brand new bow tree skirt. So it matches our bow stocking and our bow pillow. And it is a really beautiful, thick, heavy cotton velvet. It's lined in cotton, so it's really lovely, and I think will last you for years and years and years. I love the idea of switching out pillows for the holiday season, and not cheesy ones with Santas and reindeer. No offense to people that like Santa and reindeer pillows, but I love the idea of something a little bit more sophisticated and subtle, but still with a nod to the season. So this is our new collection of pillows, which we're actually launching with you right now. I have some here and I have some on that end of the sofa. And I love this combination of really beautiful, soft, buttery, smushy cotton velvet with then really beautiful embroidery on there. So I've got machine embroidered mistletoe with hand beaded berries. This is our beautiful bow pillow, which is all hand sequined and hand beaded and embroidered, and is such a pretty nod to the holiday season. And then this is actually our best-selling embroidered bee pillow, but I love him in here for the holidays because he's that rich hunter green and he just gives some depth to the color story here. This whole room was really inspired by the Coal and Sun wallpaper, which is bold and beautiful and so fresh and vibrant. And we took the green of the wallpaper and used it on the mantelpiece in this really lovely high gloss paint. And at Christmas time, I think it's so fun to really build on that idea of just green and garden and more is more. So I love the idea again of the multiple types of greenery on here. And then with the focus and centerpiece of the paper whites, which I am obsessed with at this time of year. I just think they're the most amazing things. The smell is fabulous. And then obviously I've decorated them with some of our sparkle clips as well. So there's a little bit of JB on the mantelpiece too. These mirrors behind the mantelpiece are vintage pieces that I've found over the years from markets and collected, and I do really like the mix of gold and silver. I'm not precious about mixing metals. Actually, as you can see, because I do also have the Joanna Buchanan stocking hooks on here, there's one in gold there and there's one in silver here. So these are our really lovely bow stockings that match back to the bow tree skirt that I have under the tree and also the bow pillows that I have on the sofa. So I like the idea of a little bit of matching on Christmas textiles so it doesn't all look so crazy. Again, these are cotton velvet. They're hand beaded, hand sequined, and they're not too flashy, but they've just got a little bit of sparkle. And our stocking hooks, which are new to the collection, have been a big hit of the season because they are probably one of the nicest stocking hooks you will find out there. It was amazing when we were talking to people in the showroom and stores who had been looking for beautiful stocking hooks. They had not found them. So now I'm awarding myself Stocking Hook Queen of the Year. And then these really lovely topiary trees on either side of the fire are pieces that I worked on with the women at Diane James, who have a business in the town next door to Wilton. And we have known each other for many years. And it was so fun to collaborate on these pieces with them because they're beautiful topiaries and containers, and then our sparkle bees and sparkle snowflakes clipped on there. I think it's very JB, and I just love the symmetry of that. This is one of my favorite rooms in the house to decorate. We call it our reading room, and it is one of the oldest rooms in the house, and it has this fabulous old fireplace. And I love using a real mixture of different greenery, so different shaped leaves, different shapes and colors, or different shapes and textures, different colors of green. I just love the dimension and the richness that all of that brings. So I love to create like a really strong mantelpiece with fresh flowers, obviously, because we know I love fresh flowers. And then in the fireplace area on this vintage chest, I've used our capice trees, which are hand pieced shell that are then welded together with golden metal. So they have this wonderful glimmering effect. And then I also put a faux candle inside them so they seem to glow from within as well. So I just think Christmas is all about light and magic, and I'm trying to create that with this fireplace here. Then I liked to create a focus point with this bow, and I've used our jeweled insect clips in this area because I love the idea of these insects wandering through a winter wonderland or a woodland forest, and they're jeweled and they're sparkling and they are having a magical Christmas. I actually started my business with these jeweled bug clips, so it's always really fun for me to decorate with them at Christmas time. I designed them with the idea of protecting your manicure at Christmas because I was used to having to hand wire ornaments onto wreaths and garlands, and I was always like getting bloody hands and the wire was catching everything and it was a disaster. So I actually thought, wouldn't it be so much easier if we just used a clip on the back? And actually this is one of the first products that I started with and is still one of our best-selling ideas right now. And they are just whimsical and fun. And once you start putting them on things, you'll find a million places where you need to put a jeweled clip. So I love the idea of these longer, wispier pine needles here. They smell amazing. And then this more blue-green with these more prickly little needles. I don't know all the technical terms, but I do know what looks good. And then I also do love this sort of faux boxwood in here, which then ties back to the boxwood balls in the fireplace. So I've used at least 3 different types of greenery in here. And I think that's what makes it look so rich and so dimensional. I have wanted to design these capiz trees for the longest time, and it did take me quite some time to get them right because of the proportion of the shape, and also the factory found it quite tricky to actually produce them. But they are, to me, they're like instant Christmas. You literally, it can be Thanksgiving, next day you want Christmas, you put out these trees. And I love the way they catch the light. I've put some faux candles inside, so they kind of glow from the inside. And we sell them as a nest, a set of 3, and they kind of stack, so they're quite easy to put away. But I think they're just very unique. No one is doing anything like this around in the world that I can tell. And that's what I always like to design, is something that no one else is doing. What a thrill to set a dining room table for Christmas this year. I could not be more excited with this mayhem of green. It is every single shade of green that I think exists in nature is on the table, with beautiful touches of antique silver, with the candelabras and with the cutlery. And then obviously a ton of Joanna Buchanan pieces on the table as well, which I will walk you through. So I started building the table with a really bold tablecloth. So this is our green damask tablecloth. I love the idea of taking a traditional pattern that you would see in an English country house like a damask, and then block printing it in India. I love that kind of mix of concept, I guess. So I started with that, and then I brought in our capiz placemat, which, as you can probably tell, I am obsessed with capiz because of the way it takes the light. It is so luminescent. And it is this really beautiful emerald color. So I think layered on the green, it's rather fabulous. And then I've got my pretty plates, which are blue and white. So if you have blue and white plates, they work so well with green. And then I brought in our grass green or leaf green linen napkin, which has a silver, very sort of silvery gold trim. And then on each place setting, I've used a different napkin ring, just because I think that gives a little bit of variety. And I think it's a bit more whimsical that way. And then in the center of the table, we have our green capiz trees, which I think lend themselves so perfectly to the center of a table because they give height variation, but they're not too wide and you can still talk through them. And I love having these really bold green taper candles in here as well. And then I've got a lovely mix of greenery, eucalyptus, boxwood, fir, pine. So the smell is wonderful too in the center of the table. And I just think it feels super festive. And I will say there is not a touch of red on the table, so my children would kill me. I thought it would be fun to use our snowflake napkin rings on this table. And these are all of the snowflake napkin rings that we do. We have the dazzling snowflake in crystal and silver, which is absolutely over the top. We have our pearl star napkin ring in gold and pearl and crystal, which is also a real wowzer. And then we have our classic snowflake, which is also in gold and tons of crystal. And I love the mix of them together. And by keeping the placemat the same color and by keeping the napkin the same color, you can definitely play with the napkin rings and it won't look like chaos. It will still look beautiful.